Hello there, everybody. Wee Paddy here, and it's time for another wee Paddy chat. It's Paddy's Parlour podcast, and you're very welcome. And look, I'm amazed at the amount of people that are watching this podcast. Now, whether you only watch for 2 minutes or not, I'll never know, but the fact that you turn it on amazes me. I've had a great response, and I'm having great response in the comments. The one thing I'm not getting is ideas for future videos. It's quite hard for me to come up with ideas that I think you're going to want to hear. So if you've got any ideas, look, throw them down below. Don't be offended if I don't use them. But it's nice to get, if I can get maybe 3 or 4 or 1, I'll know, right, okay, we're on to something here, and I can sit and work on it, because I do have to do a wee bit of work. This is not like my videos where I throw it up on the table and I talk about it. This I like to do just a little bit of background to it. I've got a few wee notes here in front of me, and well, I'm sort of going to walk through them. Right, tonight's topic, which you're going to have seen in the title, is HRC testing. So, this is my views on HRC testing, but I'm also going to play devil's advocate for those who maybe have different views than mine. Let's put it like that. And I'll make the point quite clear, and I've always have on the channel, that I agree with what the boys are doing. I think it's great to hold companies to account for what they're charging us for, because that's the bottom line. They're charging us for expensive steels that are supposed to be at their optimum use, or up close to their optimum use. And they're charging us money for that. So, it's right that they be held accountable. Now, here's the first wee thing is that I've got on my notes here is, why do we care? Why does the average knife person care? And that was the first question I asked myself, and then I sat and thought about it. And you know, from when I started knife collecting to now, and knife using to knife collecting to now, I would be giving you different answers, and I would be giving you, like, for instance, before I came around the knife community, I had no idea what HRC was. So I don't believe I'm more I'm thicker than your average man, but I don't believe those people out there in the real world that are going out and buying knives really have much idea on what HRC is, because the majority are not buying knives that are very expensive and have very high-end steels on them. They're just going out to get a pocket knife or a working knife that they're going to take, blunt, resharpen, repeat. And they're going to do that for the most of their lives. And that's absolutely fine. A knife is a tool. We have taken it away. And when I'm saying we now, I mean the knife community have taken it away from being a tool, really. Because a lot of us just collect them and put them in wee boxes, and we bring them out and stroke them. And now I'm talking about myself. I mean, I started off, it's funny, I started off as a budget channel with budget knives, no high-end knives. Through the generosity of people in the community, I got knives. Now this year I bought knives myself that are of silly prices, because I'm enjoying the hobby. And did I do any research into them? You bet your bottom dollar. When I paid 500 quid for this Medford, I done more research than your average man does on his wife. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's dead simple. That was a heck of a big buy. It was, you know, and things that I wanted to get, knives that I checked out, like Chris Reeves, like the Benchmade Anthem, all sorts of different knives that I checked out. And I checked out thoroughly, and then I made my decision on what I actually wanted, which wasn't what I started out wanting. So there's another thing. But did HRC? Yes, I wanted to know that the company who was making that knife for that amount of money was reputable. Their HRC was, well, their heat processes. You know, I followed that up, and I was quite happy that I was getting that what I've got is a good steel, and It wasn't the only thing they've got it, but because it's only S35VN. Medfords aren't, they don't put huge stock in the very, very high end steels, but S35VN's a brilliant steel. I would want for nothing more, if the truth be told. I'd be quite happy if S35VN wouldn't need any more. In fact, I'll come down much lower. S30V I love, it's my favourite steel. But I digress again. So, let's start off with the budget end of the world. What do people on a budget, why do they, what does HRC mean to people on a budget? What did it mean to me on a budget? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. When I started with Ganzos. Not this high-end Ganzo with D2, with 440C. And 440C was brilliant. It was a great wee steel. Lasted me all day. And then I resharpened it, ready for the next day. But then again, I wasn't a heavy user. And I'm not. And this is, now, this is maybe the controversial bit. I don't believe most of us in this knife community are heavy users. Because if you're a collector of any, if you're addicted to collecting like I am, let's just talk about me. You've so many knives, you couldn't hard use them. I mean, you just couldn't. Sometimes it takes me a year to get around to another knife to take it out for a walk. Do you know what I mean? So I could never, even if I had a job where I needed a basic knife tool to go and work and think, am I going to take a £500 knife out on a job on a building site every day when I can take a Ganzo, or when I can take an S30V, which will do, an excellent job all day long, resharpen it, or take a sharpener with you, which is what I always said. If you're going to do hard work, take a sharpener with you. Now, these budget knives nowadays, compared to what the old gas station ones were, when you got a no-name steel, it was just stainless steel. We've been very lucky since I started collecting. You had 440, you had 8CR13, which is nothing wrong with. Nothing wrong with that. I'm getting a bit tired of everybody saying that these budget steels are no good. If that's your budget, if that's the way you even collect your knives, there's nothing wrong with 8CR13. You just sharpen it a wee bit more than your average steel. And to be honest, how many of us work as joiners or on the building site? We don't. Most work in offices or like me, retired. I mean, there's so many people out there that collect knives, but they don't hard use them. So is HRC really that important? And I'll say again, on a budget knife, no. It's funny, I've been watching some of the HRC testers at the minute, and they're doing an awful lot on budget steels, and I'm thinking, I love the fact that you're keen, and if that's your thing, by all means go ahead and do it. I mean, if there's people out there that are going to check on it, that's absolutely fine. But a budget knife to me is just a knife that I'm going to take, use, resharpen, repeat. And that's what budget knives are for. You're never going to get a budget knife that's going to do 300 feet of cardboard cutting. But then again, am I ever going to do 300 feet of cardboard cutting in a day? No. So that's just on budget knives. And it's where I think it's less important, because especially even if you come round our community, you'll know that 440C is all right. You'll know that 8CR13 is all right. 12C27 has proved to be brilliant. So once you know what steels are good, like at the minute, for a budget steel, 12C27 seems to be an excellent thing. But the Chinese are not going to use it because it's a European steel. So they're going to use Chinese D2, which is better on the whole than 8CR13. Not much, but it's better. And we complained for years that we wanted a better steel. We got one. It's not much better, but it's better. And now we complain again. They're not going to come and get a high-end steel from America and put it in their knives in China. D2 in China must be dirt cheap, so they're just going to use it. That's the whole thing but that's why they're called budget knives. And I get a wee bit frustrated when well, not frustrated, but I just think by all means tell people, give people the information, and we have got that information now, and it's down on record that we have that I would much rather the HRC, and this is just my opinion, and I'm just having a wee chat. I think these boys that put the hours in doing what they do are amazing. But I think now it's more on that medium end. The end when you're going to go to your Benchmates, your 940s, your Spideyco's paramilitaries, and this raft we're getting of new knives with M390 with all that. They're the companies we need to chase up that are making M390 that's not being done right. And we need to pull them because we're not. And I thought the whole point of the HRC testing was to check the companies, report back to them, say, look, you're running this off, this is not up, then are you going to do anything about it? And then come back and give a report on it. I haven't heard many reports of that. And that's something that I would maybe like them to do, is if you found that M390, and they're all saying it now, that M390 is just not being Rockwell hardened to the right figure to make it anywhere near as good as what it should be. It should be about 62, and we're not getting that. We're getting 58, 59, 60 maybe on most M390 blades. So my whole thing, I thought this was to chase up companies and make them accountable, and I think that's where it needs to maybe go now. Let's chase up companies and then come back and say what the company's told you, because that then gives us more of it gives us more of an idea of who we're going to buy our knives off, which is really quite important. If you're going to go back to Benchmade and say, look, your S30V is not up to standard, are you going to do anything about it? And if they come back and say, well, look, we believe that it is, or it's up to standard, this is what the Rockwell should be, then we check. If they're right, well then, that's it. If they're wrong, we go back and say, no, for optimal you need to get such and such. That would give it a much better, we've done the testing, here's our results, here's the videos that show the results, and the huge difference that it makes by just 2 decimal points. I mean, and that's where I think we need to be doing it now. We've done enough testing of the cheaper budget brands. Most people now know, or they can find out, or they can ask the question, what is the best budget knife? And the testers can give them the answers and they give them the facts to back it up. But I think they'd be better now, maybe testing, yes, which is really important, but maybe chasing the companies up and starting to say, look, why you keep throwing that M390 out, because there doesn't seem to be any change in most of the companies. And again, this is just my opinion. It's not something I want to do. So, look, it's not, if it was something I would want to do, I would go and do it. I've enjoyed the fact that these people are testing it, but the whole point of testing is then to proceed with it to the companies. See what companies say, look, well, okay, we're going to see if we can improve it. The likes of Best Tech and things like that did do that, and they changed. So why are we not pulling the bigger companies? Are we frightened of the bigger companies, maybe? Maybe we're scared that, I don't know. I wouldn't be scared of them, but I mean, are we scared of them? I don't know. I don't know why we're not doing that sort of testing and then taking it to the companies, because that was the whole point of it. To just fire out figures really is pointless to me until I'm going to buy a knife from a certain company, and then I will certainly go and check what the heat treatment's like before I buy the knife. An expensive knife, but not in a budget knife. Not in a budget knife, because I'm only just going to, as I keep saying, I'm going to cut, blunt, resharpen, repeat. And that's what you do in a budget knife. But the higher end knives, I want to know that I'm getting what I pay for. I don't care if I get 300 cuts or I get 200 cuts. But if the blade steel and the company are claiming that I'm getting optimal and I should be getting 300, I'm only getting 200, well then I'm being cheated. Simply, I'm being cheated. So there's Spyderco. I mean, I've ranted for years, I've ranted and raved about Spyderco this and Spyderco that. They're the most innovative knife company I've learned in my travels. The most innovative knife company. Their Rockwell hardnesses are just really, really good, and the testing has been really, really good. Now, there's been maybe the odd one, but most of the time, they're having to do it without being chased up. They don't even say what they're going to rock with them at, but when we've tested them, or the testers, I'm saying we, I have nothing to do with the testing, um, but when they've been checked up, the Rockwells have been absolutely great and above what you should need, but yet they don't even advertise them. So that's the sort of company I wouldn't be too worried about. I would start on the companies, especially with M390. I think that is a disgrace what they're getting away with at the minute with M390, and what they're charging us for that. I think it's a disgrace. So, what else have I got down here? I've talked about manufacturers. So, in conclusion, this is going to be a short one. What do you think? And I would love to know your answer down below. Um, what do you think about HRC testing? Where do you think it could go that would be more beneficial? I believe now we've done enough testing to prove an awful lot of companies are not doing the right thing by us as consumers. And I think it's time we started writing. Do we get together? Do we make up a template and something we're all agreeing with? And then we send it off to the companies and see what sort of response we get. Because until we do that and we hold them accountable, you can Rockwell test till the cows come home. And if people are still buying them knives, it means that most people don't care. And like I was saying about this £500. Now, look, to me, this is ridiculously expensive. Ridiculously expensive. But what I'm listening to, when I love watching people getting higher end knives, and I love the reaction to them, I love learning about them, I like seeing them, I like seeing the innovation that's in them. But those sort of collectors are not really interested in HRC. I hate to tell you this, but they're not really interested. They're buying a piece of art, and they don't care what the wood like is round the frame. They just care what the art is in the centre, and that is what they're collecting, is a piece of art. The picture frame means absolutely nothing, and the picture frame is the HRC. They're not particularly worried. But a lot of the private, individual knife makers will make sure that their HRC is all right. And you can chase them up and say, look, I want this to be HRC to such and such, and they can do it. So they're not the people we're after. The big, the likes of the Medfords and the well, I would actually even put Spyderco, but it's all the other companies in that mid-range are the ones that we need to be chasing up and asking, look, why are you doing this? Why do you keep putting it out? Because it's not good enough. And getting an answer. That's what I want to hear now. I don't want to hear that we've had another raft of 20 budget knives that haven't, cut great. They're only doing 130, 140 cuts in cardboard before they're not cutting paper. That's fine, and it's interesting to know, but it's a budget knife. What do you expect? And basically that is it. What do you expect in a budget knife? Anything under $30, you're going to get a budget steel that's, if you're lucky, if you pick the right one, you're going to get a good knife. And that's the whole point. The testing's been done. Let's leave it there, in my opinion. Let's leave the budget knives alone. They're fine. I mean, people who buy budget knives know they're buying a budget knife, so it's never going to be an M390. It's never going to be a 20 CV. You just have to sharpen it. And we know that. We know that. So, I hope this... it was just a subject that came to my head that I just feel as if they're doing all this testing, but I want for the testing to be of any real benefit, other than me looking up and deciding who's doing what and who's doing it well. It's not curing the problem. It's not... The testers were doing it to bring companies to bear. I can't remember the last time I heard a company that was brought to bear because of it, or was asked a question and I haven't been heard the response. So maybe that's happening behind the scenes. I don't know. Again, I'm asking the question, I'm putting it out there to the testers. Is that going to happen? because that was what I thought it was going to be. As for HRC, yes, I want the best I can get. Look, if I'm putting out good money and big money, again, I'm just gonna. But here's another thing. Here's another thing. HRC is important. Yeah, if you're being charged for it. There's a case knife. Beautiful little knife. Cuts for toffee. I mean, it doesn't last long at all. But I'm paying, a fair price for, these are about 60 quid each for this tiny wee knife. And it's a steel that I know it's not going to last me a length of time. But you want to know something? Most days this little knife does me. Most days it does me. I couldn't tell you what the Rockwell Harden is, but I still buy them. And that's what I'm trying to say. There has to be there has to be a cut-off where we say, right, we've done enough testing, let's pull the companies, let's see what answers we get. If they want us to do more on a certain knife, well, we'll do more. I'm speaking for these poor fellas that are cutting their fingers to their bone. And I really genuinely appreciate them. And I'll back them in whatever they've done because their heart's in the right place. But I think the time now where either take action or what's the point? Because we can have the results coming out to our ears and a spreadsheet 3 miles long. If we're not actually doing anything about it, I just don't see the point. I'm losing the will to live. I'm losing it. Because look, I mean, that is the point, So unless you're going to be paying, and it is mostly people that are buying in this, this mid-range knives that actually get used. The higher end ones get used a wee bit, if you're lucky. Most of the time it's just going to be cutting paper to see how slicey it is. But mid-range knives, from a sort of 70, 80 pound up to 220, 230. That's what I call a mid-range now. That's the ones we need to be pulling because they're the ones who are going to get used. You don't buy a 940 to have it in your closet. You buy it because you want to use it because it's an absolutely gem. The PM2, you don't buy it to put in your closet. You want to use it. The PM3, you want to use them. And if the companies in that price range are not doing it, let's pull them up. Or let's not. Let's let it go. And I don't want to let it go because I believe it's the right cause. But just remember, you can get pocket knives and they're 10.95 steel. They're not going to last. They're not going to have the staying power of M390s and 20 CVs. But yet, there's a large community out here. And I being one of them, who love my little pocket knife. I mean, I love my ones made in Sheffield, England with C70 steel on it. It's like a butter knife, but, I can get it sharp and it'll get me through a footery day. There we go. Right, Paddy's finished. It's not even a rant this week. It's not even a rant because I genuinely do appreciate. But maybe the boys that are doing the HRC can let us know a wee bit more of why they're doing it because I think that's been lost in translation somewhere. Anyhow, thank you very much. I thank them very much. And this was just a wee bit of a let's throw it about because I wanted to see where it's going, what they're doing. And that's all. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please join in the conversation below. Let me know what you think so I can see what so they can see what the response is to this sort of a video. And give us some ideas for some more chats from Paddy's Parlour. All the best. Thank you very much for listening to me. I have a wee cup of tea sitting in a corner here. It'll still be, well, it'll do. It's nearly hot. All the best. Take care. See you next week in Paddy's Parlour. Bye-bye now.